In his 30s, Warren Buffett wanted to find companies that he could buy a controlling interest in, and he found one 100 miles away in Beatrice, Nebraska.
Vimster Mill was a company that was really not doing very well. It was in the windmill business. Windmills now have come back, but it was not a good business to be in 50 years ago. But the stock was selling very cheap, so I started buying stock in that.
Former Wall Street analyst Alice Schroeder is the author of The Snowball, Buffett's authorized life story.
It was a business that had built up a lot of inventory that it didn't need, and it had a labor force that was too big. So it was a company that just needed to be downsized. And of course, the town that it was in was very small, and it was the main employer.
100 people lost their jobs, and Buffett took the heat.
What it taught Warren Buffett was that he did not want to get involved anymore in businesses that had labor problems, where he would have to fire people, where he would have to get involved personally in the management. He wanted somebody else to do that.
Buffett's next big investment also looked like a potential failure. It was a textile mill called Berkshire Hathaway, whose stock was selling for $7.50 a share.
We bought a textile company that was destined eventually to go out of business, just like every other New England textile company did. It was a mistake.
Glenn Tung is a managing partner for T2 Partners.
Berkshire Hathaway was not a good business. They didn't have a competitive advantage that allowed them to earn a sufficient return on the capital invested in the business. So while they were profitable to some extent, that profitability was inexorably being squeezed. When the cash was extracted out of Berkshire Hathaway, it was reinvested. First major reinvestment that was enormously profitable was the insurance business, and that drove everything that Berkshire Hathaway did from then on.
Andrew Fry is a reporter for Bloomberg News.
So they moved the company basically from textiles to insurance, and part of the reason was because the industry itself generated profits, but also because through the premiums that they gathered up from their policyholders, Buffett was able to take that and make his stock investments.
It's called the float. Money comes in interest-free from insurance premiums, which then gets invested in other businesses. Buffett also found a professional partner who was as market-savvy as he was, Charlie Munger, who was working as a lawyer when the two first met.
When I met Warren, he immediately started telling me how much better his way of making a living was than mine, and that I was too smart to stay in such a silly business as law practice when I could go into his business of running an investment partnership. And it took me about 2 or 3 years to realize he was right.